Welcome to Redesigning School Counseling for Districts. This video will help school districts understand how to use the Redesigning School Counseling resources to monitor, guide, coordinate, and evaluate the school counseling programs across the district. My name is Sue Reynolds, and I'm president of the American Student Achievement Institute, home of Redesigning School Counseling. This video is the fourth video in a four-part series. The purpose of this series is to help Indiana public schools and school districts understand how RSC can be used during the planning phase in the Lilly School Counseling Initiative. All four videos are available at www.asainstitute.org/Lilly. Okay, so let's begin with a quick review of some of the content of the previous videos. In the second video, we talked about writing your planning grant. And in that video, we covered some pre-grant writing decisions. One question was, will the planning discussions occur at the district level or the school level? And our recommendation was that the discussion should happen at the school level, because at that level we can look at individual data for schools, student data for schools, and really target the decisions that are being made on the needs of the students that are in that school. Then the second question was, if we're having these discussions at the school level, will all schools in the district use the same planning process? And again, our recommendation was yes, that all schools should use the same planning process. This would put all schools on the same timeline, all schools would be using the same terminology. It just makes for an easier way to coordinate all schools in the district if all schools are kind of on the same page. So this video that you're watching now will help you consider how you might monitor, guide, and coordinate the school's efforts when multiple schools in a district are using RSC. In the third video, we introduced RSC for schools. In that video, we began by introducing the school counseling impact pyramid that we use. This is really foundational to RSC. We believe that when students are involved in sound guidance and counseling programs, that they tend to make better choices or sound choices in areas that support high achievement. And as a result of making those choices, achievement will go up. When we help schools design school counseling programs, we just take that pyramid and we work it backwards. So we start out with the academic goals that are in the school's improvement plan. And then we ask, if the school is going to reach those academic goals, what choices will students need to make? For example, if one of the goals was for students to succeed in an AP class, the first choice they'd have to make is to enroll in an AP class, or to get extra help if they're struggling, or to participate in class discussions. So we'll start looking at all of the choices that students need to make in order for the school to reach its academic goals. Then we'll design guidance activities and counseling activities that will help students make those choices. So again, this school counseling impact pyramid is foundational to RSC, and it's also the foundation of our program design process. We also pointed out in the last video that RSC is a proven program design process. In a recent study conducted by the Indiana Chamber of Commerce Foundation, the study reported that one of the brightest spots on the Indiana school counseling landscape is the Gold Star School Counseling Program, which continues to expand across the state. 203 Indiana schools have used RSC to earn the Gold Star Award. Matter of fact, all of the schools that have earned the Gold Star Award used RSC to create their award-winning program. The report went on to say that the RSC program provides a consistent and comprehensive process for schools to examine, organize, and redesign their school counseling efforts based on student goals and outcomes. We also know that our professional development model works. Significantly more Indiana schools have earned the recognized ASCA Model Program Award than any other state. Matter of fact, in most states, the number of schools that have the RAP Award is less than 10. In Indiana, there's 129. All of the Indiana RAMP awardees used RSC to design their award-winning model programs for ASCA. We think that this is strong evidence that our professional development model, the support that we give schools, absolutely works, because if not, we'd not have 129 RAMP schools in Indiana. Also, and this is really the most important data to us, is that independent research conducted by the University of Connecticut and the University of Scranton and published by ASCA show that RSC schools have significantly higher proficiency rates on state math and language art tests. As school counselors, it's our mission to help students become successful at school. Therefore, we think it's very important to look at the impact of the school counseling program on academic success. And this research connecting RSC with significantly higher proficiency rates on state math and language arts tests, we think is really exciting. And again, evidence for the impact of RSC and why RSC we think is so important. We also want to introduce the idea that RSC is not about replicating a model program. We don't think that there's a one-size-fits-all model for school counseling. A model that works at a school in Houston won't necessarily work in Indianapolis or in Paoli. So when we implement the RSC process, each school is designing its own model program. It may contain parts of a program from Paoli or San Diego or wherever, but it's also specific for the needs of that school based on that school's students and that school's community. So RSC is a discovery process. In the Lilly planning phase, these are the questions that will help schools make as they go through this discovery process. First question is, what choices do successful students make? And then what percentage of our students are making those choices? And we'll look at student choice data. Then we'll look at the question, why aren't more kids in our school making those choices? And we'll look at another set of data that we call root cause data. We'll help each school decide if students are lacking information that they need to make good choices, or they're lacking opportunities, or maybe they have social emotional concerns that are getting in the way of good decision making in general. So that root cause data will help us pinpoint the reason that kids are not making the choices we need them to make in order to be successful learners. Then the fourth question is, what's the best way to provide the information or the opportunities that all students need? And on that step, we'll start doing some research of model practices across the country, as well as look at practices in past RSC schools. And then finally, what's the best way to provide the social emotional support that some students need? A typical school will have about 20% of its students who have social emotional issues that they feel are interfering with learning. So not all kids need social emotional support, but for the ones that do, what's the best way to provide that support? This is the process timeline that we will be using with RSC schools in the second semester of this school year. So in January, you can see that we'll start out just getting organized and then collecting data. And then each month there's products that come out of the tasks. So for example, in January, the first product is going to be a steering team roster and then a council roster. And then in February, we'll work on setting goals. In March, we'll identify root causes. In April, we'll talk about what activities will we do to address those root causes. And then we'll also look at the delivery framework. We'll help schools talk about, is this going to be a traditional framework where it's the school counselor delivering all the services, or are we going to use a non-traditional framework where maybe teacher advisors or parents as advisors or community organizations are helping to deliver school counseling activities? And then in May, we'll help the schools communicate with the district so that the district can aggregate all of the school's activities and their funding needs into one implementation phase grant application. So that's the process timeline, and then now let's talk about the district. So if your schools are working through the RSC process, here's how we feel we can help the district with the coordination of all of this. So first of all, RSC District is really just a set of tools that will help districts monitor, guide, coordinate, and evaluate the process of school counseling improvement across the district. And we want to emphasize that this is optional. Schools may participate in RSC without their district being involved. We have a lot of schools that have participated in RSC successfully without district involvement. But if a district did want to monitor and guide and coordinate and evaluate the schools as they work through the RSC process, this would be an additional set of tools that the district could use. So the first thing is that we'll provide professional development for the districts in a series of webinars. So there will be monthly webinars, and each webinar will be held 1 week prior to the training that we do with the schools. So the first thing we'll do in each of the webinars is help district folks to understand what the schools are going to be doing next. We'll do an overview of that next step, the terminology that the schools will be using. We might talk about hurdles that the schools are going to face. We might talk about what's going to excite the schools. Just give the district kind of a heads up about what's going to be happening in the schools. And then 2, we'll help the district consider embedding district level requirements into the steps. For example, when we get to goals, we'll have the district look at district level data and then decide if they want to require any goals district-wide. And if so, then we'll talk with the district about how to do that so that those goals can get embedded in the school's plans. Okay, and then 3, we'll also help the district consider possible supports for schools in their next step. We really like number 3 because it allows some bottom-up communications where the district will start to see that, oh gosh, all schools have this concern about FAFSA completion. What then can we do as a district to maybe provide professional development or help schools coordinate with each other? So we'll talk about that as well each month. So these are the monthly discussions on the left, and then we've just given you some ideas for possible district support, and again each month we'll be covering these in more depth. But just as an example, in January, one thing that we'll suggest to the districts is that one thing they could do is coordinate the partner recruitment efforts among the schools. So instead of having all 18 maybe schools all contacting the one big business in the county about being a partner, maybe we'll look at divvying up the businesses so that each business is only contacted by one school. So we'll talk about the possibilities each month. The district will decide which possibilities fit, which don't fit, and then implement the ones that they think would be helpful. Okay, then we'll also provide an admin system for the districts with a lot of tools that I think are going to be very rich and helpful. First of all, this tool will help districts monitor school progress. So you can see in the left-hand column the products that are due to us after the discussions, and the schools submit these as they finish them, and then we provide feedback, written feedback within 48 hours of the school submissions. So in this chart we're showing you when the submission was due, and then which schools have turned it in and have met our criteria for that submission. Here's another report that we'll put together that will help districts look at district level data. So, for example, have you taken or do you plan to take an AP course in high school? This question on our survey was answered by students in grades 9 through 12. And so we can see some district level data, and then we can also disaggregate the data, the district level data. So And there's lots of different ways we can desegregate. We're just happen to be showing you free and reduced lunch. So, okay. These are all of the different reports that you can get. You just looked at the drill down report by lunch program, but we can also drill down by gender, race, ethnicity, participation in 21st century scholars, IEP status, parental college status, and typical grades. And then you can also create a student group. So if your district is really interested in third grade African American males, you can create that group and then see what they said. We also have a tool for the schools to use and for the district to use where you can send targeted emails to students who answered specific survey questions in specific ways. So you could tell the computer, please send this email to students who report that they get D's and F's on the report card and don't know where to find extra help. Or students who get A's and B's on the report card are planning to go to a four-year college and are not planning to take an AP or dual credit class in high school. So you can really narrow down a student group and then send those students either a targeted email or get a list of those students so you can invite them in for a special program. One other thing about this table with all of our data reports is the reports that have a yellow icon. Those are only available to counselors that have a username and password. So you can see the student list generator is only available to counselors, never to the public. The student assistance responses, the social emotional needs, never available to the public, and the students' perceptions of their school counselors are never available to the public. Also, you can see that in these areas right here, this data is not available to anyone. So a counselor, myself, anybody on my staff, nobody can ever obtain a list of students who have answered any of these social emotional questions or perceptions of the school counselor questions. So, okay, all of our data is also, we are FERPA compliant and we can provide documentation for you that, from an attorney specializing in FERPA that says that we handle data appropriately. Okay, here's another report that I think would really be helpful to a district. These are showing you in the left-hand column all of the goals that have been identified as being part of the school counseling programs in each school. And so we can see turn in homework. That is a choice that we want that the students, that the team at Jones Middle School and North High School and South High School, they have all included that goal as part of their school counseling program goals. So as you're looking at this, you might be thinking, oh, create a four-year high school course plan. Well, Smith Middle School is doing that, but Jones is not. And this would probably be something that it would be good for all middle schools in our district to do. So I might, as a district person, be on the phone to Jones and just saying, this is something that we think is really important. Why don't you have that as a goal? Are you already doing that, and so you didn't want to put it in as a goal? Or is this just something that you haven't thought about? But you could be kind of coaching and mentoring Jones as you look at that. Also, another thing that would jump out on this is that Brown Elementary School doesn't have any goals in, which kind of makes sense when we go back to this report because we see that Brown is also kind of disengaged. So our staff will be working with Brown, but that's something that the district office could help with too. So, okay. The other thing that you'll see here is maybe some duplication of services. Here's South High School and North High School that are both planned college fairs. One included a career fair, the other didn't. But another thing a district person could do is just to contact the two schools and say, hey, you guys might want to be working together on this rather than duplicating each other's efforts. It might save you some time and some energy. So we think this goals report for the district will be very, very helpful. Okay, we talked about those things. Yep, okay. So this is another report that down the road we know that you're going to be asked to come up, or we suspect that you're going to be asked to come up with a list of all the activities that are happening across the district as a result of this Lilly initiative. And this will allow you to come up, this report will come up with a list of activities that are sorted by goal and then school. So across the district, when schools had the priority goal of taking an AP or dual credit course, here's what Smith Middle School is doing to support that priority goal. Here's what North High School is doing to support that priority goal. So this will just spit out of the system after all the schools have entered their information. So we talked about sending targeted emails to students, but you can also use a tool that will provide targeted emails to a school's RSC point person or the school's entire RSC steering team. So, and then of course to students who answer questions a specific way on the survey. Okay, then we're also thinking that down the road it's going to be nice to come up with data to show the impact of all the activities across your district on the goals that you have. So let's just look at one of these, turning in homework. So this report is telling you that there were 2 schools in your district that had this goal, and in those 2 schools there were 1,032 students. So the baseline data that we'll have available for you in January of 2017, the baseline data was that right now 20% of the students are reporting that they turn in their homework on a regular basis. So, and then we give you the raw numbers, 199 out of just over 1,000. Then a year from now, we'll collect the same data, and hopefully if all the activities that these 2 schools are implementing to address this work, then we'll see that data go up. That is data that can inform the decisions in those 2 schools, as well as some decisions at the district level, and it will also be data that you can turn in to Lily if you're asked to provide data that shows the impact of your initiative. So here's another example where right now only 1 school had this goal of creating a 4-year high school course plan. If that were to stay with just 1 school, then we're saying, okay, there's 514 students in that 1 school, and that 10 out of the 514, or 2%, had a 4-year high school course plan. So obviously this was not happening at all in the school, and we should be able to get this up from 2% to 100%, fairly easily. We just need to make sure that we've planned for it and put that activity into the program. So okay, so that's the data that we'll be able to provide. So that's the online system. And then we also provide on-call support, and it's unlimited, so anytime you want to bounce an idea off of us, or you want to see, ask us a question or whatever, you'll be able to just pick up the phone and call us. We are known for our tech support, especially our timely responses to emails and phone calls. So we really encourage our districts and schools to contact us when they have a question. Now, a little bit about the logistics. Here is the fee scale. So the fee would be $550 for each of the participating schools. Then, if you wanted to participate in RSC district, on top of that, you would pay one of these amounts. So you can see it's a sliding fee scale based on the number of schools that are participating in RSC and the number of students in the district. So we wanted to go with a sliding fee scale because we wanted to make sure that there was some funding that would also be able to go to the schools to support their work during the 2nd semester. So we'd also like our districts to consider, in addition to this enrollment fee, we'd also like the districts to consider allocating the following amounts for each school. So this money would not come to us, but it would be available for the schools to use during the planning process. So $900, that we think that would fund a person to do a site visit somewhere across the country, and we'll provide the schools with some places that we think might be interesting to go. Printing, if the school can't do that in-house, we need a little bit of printing funding for their council meetings. Then to support their meetings, room rental and catering, we are hoping that you'll be able to allocate $600 per school. Some of our discussions, we like the council to be together for 2 hours to really get into the depth of a discussion. So a lot of schools will maybe have part of a meeting before dinner, then they'll serve a quick dinner, and then have the rest of the meeting after dinner. So or lunch, and some schools will do like retreats on Saturdays and feed people. So yeah, so this funding would give the schools some opportunities and some flexibility with their meetings. And then also to go to conferences, the $1,200 we think would enable one person to attend a conference. There is a conference that falls right in the middle of this planning phase that we really like. It's the Evidence-Based School Counseling Conference. This year it's in San Diego. And $1,200 would allow one person from your school to go to that. If your school has multiple funds, more than this amount, think about sending people to 2 different sites to visit, or allowing two people to go to the conferences, or maybe including some funding for materials to help brand this new culture that we're creating for school counseling. So yeah, so just some suggestions, and if you want to talk this over with us, please feel free to give us a call. We'd be happy to talk with you. This is the webinar schedule, and the one thing I wanted to point out is that if you have schools that are already participating in RSC as part of our 2016 cohort, those schools have already completed several of the steps. We'll continue working with those schools second semester as planned, and they'll be finishing up in May and be able to work with you and let you know what they're doing. The new cohort of 2017 schools will begin on January 3rd. We need schools to register by December 8th and make sure, all of these schools, make sure they submit in the district, make sure that that Lilly Planning app application gets submitted. And then for the district, you'll see here that with one exception, January 3rd, all of your training is happening a week before the schools have their training. So, okay. So how do we enroll your district in RSC or your schools in RSC? You would go to asainstitute.org/Lilly, and let me just take you to that page real quickly. On that page, you'll see this, and you'll see that the videos that we're doing, the 4-part video series, there are links to them here on the right. Some other documents that we think would be helpful to you, and then here's how to enroll in our services. So the schools would enroll here, and then the districts would enroll here, and we've also defined our deliverables. So if I click on enroll, the enrollment form comes up, and you just start to type in the name of your school district. I live in Monroe County, so I'm just going to select Monroe County Community Schools, and then you'll see that when you do that, the names of the schools appear, as well as we've pulled out from DOE the number of schools in your district and the number of students in your district, and then you're going to tell us how many schools will be participating in RSC. I hope that number would be 21, but to save time, let's just say 2. And as soon as I return on that, I'm going to get a red flag that says that this number does not match the number of schools that are checked down here. So I check 2 schools, and then that number goes away. Everything's fine. And then you'll also notice that the enrollment fee appears here as you answer these questions. And one other thing that I wanted to point out is in this memorandum of understanding, here's our deliverables, and then here's what our expectation is of the district. So we think that this is a partnership, and there's certain things we're doing, and there's certain things that you're doing to make this partnership successful. So just fill that out, hit submit. Each of the individual schools also has to register, and we'll check to make sure that they all get registered. But here's where they would enroll. So just hit that enroll form and that enroll link and answer the questions. So, okay. Then to wrap up, after your district enrolls, you'll get an email from us. And in that email, you'll find a link to the webinar registration. And then you'll also find sample language that describes your strategies and activities that you'll be doing second semester during the planning phase. And we're sending this to you so that if you want to, you can use that language, or I would make it your own, but use those ideas in your Lilly Planning Grant application. So in the Lilly Planning Grant, when you're describing your strategies and activities that you're going to do second semester, you would use this sample language or put it in your own words to describe the activities that your schools will be doing with RSC. And also, after your district is enrolled, or really even before you've enrolled, please use us for on-call support. We have been working to support the field of school counseling for, oh gosh, 20 years. We are so excited about this Lilly funding, and we really want to help every school and every district in Indiana take advantage of it. So please, please feel free to give us a call if there's any way we can help you. Okay, so if you have not watched RSC for Schools, I would go back and watch that video. I think that will give you more information about how we support your schools. And finally, if you have questions about the Lilly Counseling Initiative, please direct those questions to Lilly. But if you have questions about using RSC during the planning phase, please direct those questions to us, and there's our email address as well as our phone number. So again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and for caring about kids, and for seeing that school counseling can make a difference in kids' lives. So I'll close with one last request to please call us if we can help in any way.